Erin here from erinflynn.com. I help web designers and developers just like you learn to run their businesses better by streamlining their systems and helping them communicate with clients. And today I want to talk about kind of a lack of client communication. These are the 3 things that you have to do in your web design business to keep your clients from getting antsy and becoming nightmares. So I've been on both sides of this. I've been a web designer and I've been a client. So I've definitely seen this from both sides. As a designer, you're plugging away at a client's project, you're completely oblivious to the fact that the client is starting to freak out and believe that you have run off with their money and are now laying on the beach somewhere enjoying a Mai Tai and just, chilling off the thousands of dollars that they've paid you. I totally get that. And then as a client, you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting forever to hear back from the person that you paid to get a job done, and you are hearing nothing, and it makes you very, very antsy. The designer thinks there's nothing wrong because they're hard at work working on the project, but the client hasn't heard from them. And this kind of scenario happens far too often. This happens a ton in our industry. The result of this is that you end up with a nightmare client, or if you are the client, you might become a nightmare, which none of us want to be that nightmare client. So luckily, you can avoid this with a few simple steps that really don't take that much time to implement. So I'm going to cover those today. Then let's go ahead and dive straight in. So step number 1 is you need to create a timeline and leave buffer room. So think about how long the project will take. Map out the amount of time the project will take in your calendar and schedule it in. A lot of designers don't do this and they end up overbooking themselves, or they forget about the vacation that they're going on. So then you actually are laying on the beach with your client's money just sitting there. And what should have taken 4 weeks can end up taking 8 or 12, and that is not good. So I want you to be realistic about the amount of time that you can dedicate to the project, account for weekends, vacations, and anything else that will affect the timeline, and get everything into your schedule. Like, yes, you actually do need to have a schedule. And then what I want you to do is actually add an extra 50% to the time estimate. This is to account for delays, catching the flu, your kids being sick, whatever comes up in life, because life happens. It does. It just absolutely does. So if you think a project will take 4 weeks, you should schedule it for 6 weeks. If you get done in 4 weeks, your client will be absolutely thrilled. They will be super psyched. But if it takes the 6 that you told them it was going to take, you're right on time. And if it ends up taking 8 for some reason, then you are, still in the clear because you're only 2 weeks past the date that you told them instead of an entire month. So you can see how that works. So just add an extra 50% to the timeline no matter what. And then communicate this timeline to your clients. Let them know early how long you think it's going to take. And this is the, the timeline, the 50% added. And make sure that they know when to expect deliverables from you. So if you're going to be, working for a month and not needing their feedback on anything, just let them know. And you know what? Even if you don't need them for anything, you can still check in with them during that time, which is what we're getting to next. Step number 2 is send a weekly update, and a simple email is fine, or if you're using a project management system, a simple message in there totally works. This is absolutely the easiest thing to do. The easiest thing to do because it takes all of 2 minutes, and yet nobody does this. This actually was one of the things that my clients comment on the most about how much they love it. They love getting these updates, and literally takes 2 minutes, but it makes a world of difference. A quick update like this lets your clients know what you're working on for their project and that you haven't fallen off the face of the earth. So whether you use a project management system, like I mentioned before, which I do totally recommend instead of emails, or you update them via email if that's what works for you, send them an update every single week. It takes, again, 2 minutes, and it puts your client's mind at ease. And I will post this template into the comments. In fact, I can do this right now as I read it to you. So what it's going to say is, hi, client name, here's an update on what I accomplished this week on your project. In this case, I'm listing brand mood board and initial logo designs. It's whatever, 2 or 3 bullet points. Then you say, next week, I'm going to need the following from you. Whatever you need from them. If you don't need anything from them, just say, I don't actually need anything from you at this point. And that's totally okay, just as long as they know that you're not expecting something from them. But if you are expecting something from them, tell them here. And then tell them what you're going to work on next. So once you do that, I'll start working on X, Y, and Z. Then sign off, say, have a great weekend, signed, your name. That's it. So you just go in, you change the bullet points every week to whatever makes sense for the part of the project you're on and the project you're working on. And that's it. It is so fast, and your clients love it. I promise you, they will be so happy that you do this. This super simple message, it keeps your clients in the loop, and it reminds them if you need anything from them for the next stage of the project. And again, this takes very little time, but it makes a huge difference in creating a great experience for your client, and it prevents the, I think my designer disappeared, panic from creeping in and souring the project in your working relationship. All right, step number 3, our final step, is communicate when things are off schedule. Your client should not be the one who is checking in. You should be the one checking in with them. So things, as I mentioned before, do not always go according to schedule. Life just flat out doesn't work that way, and that's why we include buffer time in our projects, to allow ourselves the flexibility of taking a sick day or a sick week, or things just taking longer than anticipated because we get into the project and it's a lot more work. So when we get too far off schedule and we can't, complete the project within the timeline we communicated to our clients, we need to be the ones to let them know. It looks really bad and it creates really bad feelings when you're 2 weeks behind and the client is the one checking in with you. So keep them updated. A great place to let your client know things are running a little bit late is in the weekly project update, which should be down below, the one that I sent before. And it might just be something like a short little note. I'll paste this note in the comments as well. Let me just add on to the end. We are about 1 week behind our projected schedule due to us both catching nasty colds the past few weeks, which has delayed both work and approvals. I'll do my best to make up some time, but as of now, the completion date estimate has changed to whatever the date is. So just a simple note like that just lets them know where the project is, lets them know that you're working on, catching up as much time as possible, but the schedule has changed. And typically, most clients are okay with that as long as you let them know and they can plan accordingly. Clients are normally, like I said, really understanding as long as you communicate with them. Unless there is like a super specific launch date to worry about, most clients are okay with things having a slight delay. If you are running severely behind, which does happen from time to time, it can be really hard to tell your clients, but they will still appreciate the honesty instead of wondering why things are taking so long and feeling super frustrated that they're the ones constantly having to follow up. That is worse than you telling them that you're now a month behind or 2 months behind. It is worse if they're the ones having to ask. When the client's the one following up, they feel as if you're not making their project a priority and that you don't care when or even if the project is completed. And that is not the feeling we want our clients to have. We want them to know that we care about them. All right, so let's wrap up everything that I just covered. Communicating with your clients is the most important thing you can do to keep your clients happy. It just absolutely is. Almost all of my clients have hired me, not for my designer development skills, but for my communication skills, which most of the industry is lacking. So create a clear timeline with some buffer room and communicate it to your clients very early on in the project so that they know how long the project is expected to take, as well as what will be happening at each and every stage of the project. Give your clients a quick weekly update. This 2-minute message lets your clients know that what you're working on, and it reminds them of anything that they need to do on their end to keep the project moving. So it's also really great for you. And when things take longer than expected, let your clients know. Again, your clients should not be the one checking in. It can be hard to tell clients that there are delays, but it is going to be much better if you let them know and are open with your communication instead of them following up. So if you're not following these 3 steps, I want you to make them part of your business process today. I want you to leave me a comment and let me know exactly what you're going to do to make this part of your process and to improve your client communication. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.